Halo, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 5 and today we are going to talk about pragmatic dimension. My name is Zinta Nur Anugrahani with my team Olivia, Feby Catherine, and Gunawan.
Hello everyone, my name is Olivia. I will explain our first material. Pragmatic is study of meaning in context. It focuses on speaker meaning and how the listener interprets that message. Next is pragmatic one. This dimension focuses on how meaning is influenced by the situational context and human relationship in real communication. Context is very important because it helps us understand what a speaker really means. It includes where, when, who is involved, and their relationship. There are three types of context that influence our communication. Physical context. This refers to the actual physical environment where we are speaking, such inside a classroom. Social context. This involves the hierarchical relationship between people. For example, how students use polite language when speaking to their teacher. Cultural context. This includes shared norms and expectations that influence how we communicate directly. Deixis refers to words whose meaning changes depending on the speaker's context. Examples are person deixis like I and you, place deixis like here, and time deixis like now. This is all for me.
Thank you, Olivia. Hello everyone, my name is Feby Catherine and I will explain about speech act. When we speak, we are not just sharing information, we are also doing things with our words. These actions are called speech act. And the first one is the locutionary act, is the actual sentence or word spoken. And for the example is close the door. The locutionary act is the speaker saying those exact words. And the second one is the illocutionary act is the speaker's intention, like making a request, a promise, or giving an order. It's kind of like, can you open the window? The illocutionary act is a request, not just a question. And the third one is the perlocutionary act. It's the effect the words have on the listener. Like, be careful, effect, the listener becomes more alert or stops what they are doing. And the next slide is challenges, and we have 4 main points of this part. The first one is preparation and training. It means changes in practice or mindset may require time and support, especially when moving towards more experience-based or flexible methods. And for the example is a teacher changes from traditional teaching to interactive learning. They need training and time to adjust their teaching style. And the second one is research availability. It means time, materials, and support may affect how different strategies are planned and implemented, particularly those involving collaboration or hands-on experiences. It's kind of like a workshop uses practical activities. It requires tools, space, and guidance from instructors. And the third one is organizational structures. It means established systems, procedures, or expectation may influence how new approach can be introduced or integrated. And the example is an organization has fixed working hours and rules. It may be hard to introduce flexible working systems like remote work. And the last but not least is contextual factors. Cultural expectation, institutional goals, or the perspectives of those involved may play a role in shaping how these approaches are received or adjusted. And for the example, in some cultures, students are expected to be quiet and respectful. Interactive or discussion-based learning may need adjustment. When we use pragmatic approach, in different fields, we need to consider many factors because each situation is different and requires the right adjustment. Okay, now let's move on to next topic, coherence in translation. Coherence is referred as the property of unity and of hanging together. So, coherence is about unity in a text. It means all parts of the text are connected and make sense together. The second one is cohesion is treated as a key factor in building up coherence of the text. Cohesion helps build coherence because it connects sentences using words like and, but, or because. And the third one is coherence is the collective effect of different meta functions and can be understood through systemic functional framework. But coherence is not only about those connectors. It also comes from how ideas work together in a text. We can understand this through a systemic functional approach which looks at how language functions in context. And the last, coherence is the network of conceptual relations underlying the text as perceived by readers. In simple terms, coherence is how the ideas in a text are related and understood by the reader. So, the reader also plays an important role in making the text meaningful. For example, I'm terribly tired because bananas are yellow. Cohesion exists but no logical connection, not coherence. I'm very tired at the end of the week. On Wednesday, I usually see my sister. Weak coherence. Because unclear relationship. And this is the right sentence. I'm very tired at the end of the week because I work every day. And on Wednesday, I also visit my sister. It's logical and coherent connection. Coherence depends on the reader's interpretation and background knowledge. Okay, that's all for me, and for the next slide will be presented by Gunawan. Time is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Gunawan, and now it's my turn to explain about the topic. And my section is to tell about the narrative facts. So you can see on the screen about this topic. Narrative facts is a story that tells about events, either real or fictional. It's to entertain or inform the reader. So the characteristic of narrative facts, there are some things, and I want to explain about these things. So the first thing is, it tells a story with a clear sequences of events, and the second, it's include characters and a setting, and the third, it often uses the past tense, and next, it involves the conflicts or problem, and the last is it ends with a resolution or solution. And the next, it's about the narrative analysis. Yeah. You can see on the screen again about the narrative analysis. Narrative analysis studies how narrative shapes human understanding. It sees narrative as a way people construct meaning and experience the world. So when we talk about the narrative analysis, there are some things too. So this is the narrative analysis things. So the first is the causes on stories, and then based on personal experience, pay attention to context, looks at story structure, and focuses on language use, and then allows different interpretation, and the last but not least is helps understand human life. So next slide. I explain about the translation. So what is the translation? The definition. Translation is rendering the meaning of a text into another language as intended by the author. Okay, the focus is on transferring meaning, not just words. Again, next slide. Okay, translation has types, so many things. So in this topic, I want to explain about the types of translation. So there are three main types in translation. The first is intralingual translation. So what is the trilingual translations? Intralingual translation is the process of translating within the same language. It means repressing or explaining something using different words but still in the same language. So for the example, original, he is feeling unwell. So for the intralingual, is he is sick. He is sick. That is correct. So the next slide is, baby, next slide. So the second things about the types of translation is interlingual translation. Interlingual translation is the process of translating from one language to another language. This is the most common types of translation. So this is the example. English, good morning. Indonesian, selamat pagi. Next slide. So types of translation, the third things is intersemiotic translations. Intersemiotic translation is the process of translating from verbal language into non-verbal forms, such as image, symbols, music, or films. And the example is a novel adapted into a movie, a poem expressed through a painting. Next slide. So the next slide, I want to explain about the nature of pragmatics and the role of context. So physical context, the physical environment where communication occurs, such as a classroom. And the next about the social context involves hierarchical relationships. For the example, students using polite language with teachers. The next slide. Okay, next slide about the classification of illocutionary acts, CRL. Directive is trying to get the listener to do something, commanding and suggesting. And the second, representative, stating what is believed to be true, its facts, and report. Okay, there are for expressives, expressing physiological feelings, include thanking, congratulating, and the next commissivis, committing to future action, it's promising, offering, declarative, changing the status of reality, include marrying and firing. Okay, that's my presentation as enough. And the next topic will be bring by Zinta Nur Anggraini. Come on, thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna talk about pragmatic dimension 3. The first one, we're gonna talk about implicature. So implicature refers to the meaning that is implied by a speaker rather than directly stated. In conversation, speakers often communicate indirectly, and listener must infer the intended meaning from the context. For example, A. Did you finish the assignment? B. I started working on it last night. Although B does not directly answer the question, the listener may infer that the assignment hasn't been finished yet. This inferred meaning is called conversational implicature. The next is presupposition. So, presupposition refers to an assumption that a speaker assumes to be true before making an utterance. In other words, it is information that the speaker believes that already known or accepted by the listener. For example, Sarah stopped smoking. The sentence presupposes that Sarah used to smoke in the past. The next is conversational maxims or grace maxim. Conversational maxims are guidelines that people generally follow to make communication effective and meaningful. These maxims were proposed by Paul Grace as part of the cooperative principle in conversation. There are four main conversational maxims. The first one is maxim of quantity. The maxim of quantity requires speakers to provide the right amount of information. They should not give too little information or too much unnecessary detail. For example, question: where are you studying? The answer: at Bandung State University. This answer provides sufficient information without unnecessary details. B. Maxim of quality. The maxim of quality implies that speakers should provide truthful information. Speakers shouldn't say something they believe to be false or something for which they have no evidence. For example, I'm not sure, but I think the meeting starts at 9 a.m. This shows honest when the speaker is uncertain. And the next is maxim of relation. The maxim of relations requires speakers to make contributions that are relevant to the topic being discussed. For example, A. How was the lecture today? B. The professor explained the topic very clearly. The response is relevant to the question about the lecture. And the next is maxim of manner. The maxim of manner requires speakers to express themselves clearly and avoid ambiguity. Communication should be orderly and easy to understand. For example, turn right at the traffic light and walk straightly for 2 minutes. This instruction is clearly and easy to follow. And the last one is cooperative principle. The cooperative principle is a fundamental concept in pragmatics proposed by Paul Grace. It states that participants in conversation generally cooperative with each other to achieve effective communication. According to this principle, speakers should contribute to the conversation in ways that are appropriate to the purpose and direction of the interaction. For example, A. How's Tom's presentation? B. Well, the slides looks nice. So the listener may interpret that Tom's presentation itself wasn't very good, even though the speaker didn't explicitly say so. Therefore, the cooperative principle helps explain how people interpret implied meanings and understand each other in every conversation. So, the conclusion: pragmatic approach tries to connect learning and action with real-life situations. They are sometimes used in different areas to help make things more usable and relevant. These approaches can look different depending on the place, the people involved, and the goals. They are not only options, but they may be part of a larger effort to improve how people learn, work, or solve problems. So that's all about pragmatic dimension, and thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.